This is a very quick core practice. It is a daily core practice, something you can use every day, even on the days when you aren't working out. It's a great way to really connect to the deeper layers of the abdominal walls, the transverse abdominis, so that you can tap into your innermost strength every day. I've had a request from lots of different people. What are your favorite core exercises? How do I strengthen my core before and after pregnancy, during pregnancy? This one is safe for anyone who is in that prenatal stage and also in postpartum. So it's a great way to really connect no matter what stage of reproductive life you are in. This is a way to really develop your strong core from the inside out. So it's a quick 10-minute practice. I'll have our timer set up here so that I can keep time for you. We're starting with a spinal balance. So we'll come into hands and knees, shoulders are over the wrists, the hips are directly over the knees. Start to close the gap between low ribs and hip points by gently curling the tail toward the inner knees, and then stretch your heart and your spine forward. Already you should feel the core engage. And then we'll reach opposite hand, opposite leg along the horizontal. Take it along parallel tracks, so bring your elbow to your hip and your knee to your elbow. Reach back out and switch sides. We extend in opposite directions and then create those parallel tracks with the arm and leg, and then re-extend. Let these be slow and controlled. So a lot of core work you see people moving through very quickly, kind of not fully experiencing the range of motion. So here, the more that we slow it down, the greater the opportunity to connect with that deep core integration. We've got about 5 more seconds here. We'll have 1 more time on this side and rest. So the 10 seconds in between our 50-second intervals, simply to switch positions. So we're getting ready for our bear plank hovers, coming back into that tabletop. And then press into the hands, curl the knees up just ever so slightly, and come back down. We press up, curl the knees just to hover above the ground, close the gap between low ribs and hips, and come back down. Press up, hover the knees, hug the heels of your hands toward the ball mounts of your feet. You should feel your belly fire up, and come down. So press up. That's a way to immediately activate the deepest layers of the core. Hug the heels of the hands and the ball mounts of the feet together. Can you keep the spine lengthening, the crown of the head moving away from the tail and down? Last couple reps here, hovering the knees, squeeze hands to feet and lower down. Last one, press up and release. Coming into our first side of a side plank. So find your forearm on the mat, shoulder directly over the elbow. We'll press up and move here. So we're in our side plank, reach the opposite arm high, and simply wrap it around and underneath you. Reach up, create space between your mat and the hips, and really lengthen the bottom side of the body. So how much space can you create in the side waist? The hips stay stationary and stable here, and we're just rotating that upper arm out and back down. Stacking the hips and the feet, creating that strong, stable plane of work here. We've got about 10 more seconds. Wrapping under and back up. Last 3, 2, 1. Coming back onto hands and knees for our bear plank walkouts. So again, you have your strong bear plank stance. We're simply going to walk out to plank and then back to bear plank. Here we go. Lift the knees up, step the feet out, out, hug it in and in. Try not to bring the knees too close as you come back in, so they stop right at hip level. You can switch sides if you like. Walking in and out, out, back in, out, and out. You got it. The goal here is to keep the hips and the shoulders in the same plane the entire time. So you might feel your hips have a tendency to want to pop up. Can you keep them level with each other in that horizontal plane. 10 more seconds here. Bear planks are my new favorite for core work, even more so than full plank. Rest. Coming into our other side plank now. I find bear planks just a little bit easier to connect to, a little bit easier for me to feel. Reach up, here we go. Wrap it around and back up. You got it. Spin that arm around and back up. Can you keep the belly engaged the entire time by pressing the floor away from you? Press the outer edges of the feet, that forearm firmly rooted into the ground. Breathing here, inhaling up and exhaling to empty. Inhaling to open, exhaling to close. We're here for about 10 more seconds, and then we'll run through those 5 exercises one more time to send you on your way. So it's a quick 10-minute core practice that you can use daily, and rest. Coming back to our spinal balance. So a note on this spinal balance movement. Let's begin. Remember not to come across the body. Instead, we're staying in the parallel tracks with the limbs. So opposite arm, opposite leg. They're not crossing the body, but instead staying parallel to each other. That'll help you activate the sides of the waist, the low belly, and again, keeping hips and shoulders level, the same plane the entire time. Using your breath, exhaling as you bend, inhaling to extend, exhaling, find that deep integration, that deep contraction, and release. Lengthen in opposite directions and close it in. Reach and back down. Rest. Coming into the bear plank hover now. So once again, feel that energetic between the heel of the hand and the ball mounds of the feet. Let's begin in 2, 1. Hover it up, pull feet to hands like you're trying to create a ripple in the mat, and lower down. It's a tiny movement, but so powerful, so strong. As you hug hands to feet, can you strengthen and lengthen the crown of the head away from you? So towards the front of your mat. Press it up. Squeeze. It's more of an isometric contraction here, closing the gap between low ribs and hip points. You got this, almost there. I love this practice as an add-on to any movement practice, any workout, or even on the days when you don't have space to work out, or maybe you're on a rest day. This one is gentle enough that you can keep it up as a daily practice and rest. Coming into our side plank now. Rest your forearm on the mat. Stack hips and feet. Let's begin. Lift up, arm reaches, and then rotates around. Breathe in, open, expand the lungs, and then find that contraction without shrugging the shoulders. So keep the face nice and relaxed, lots of space in the neck. Focusing all of the work in the core. Open up and close it in. So again, the hips aren't moving, they stay stable. So you have that isometric contraction happening in the bottom side waist. And then we add the oblique work by creating that bear hug, that barrel roll underneath. Last 3, 2, and 1. Coming back into bear plank for the walkouts. So we're stepping our feet back to plank and then through the bear plank. Here we go. 2, 1. Step it out, out, in, in. Hug feet to hands the entire time to keep that integration, the engagement in the belly. Again, remember, the hips aren't popping up or dropping down. They're staying steady and strong. You got this. Breathing here. Try not to lock out the elbows, which can kind of collapse excess strain into that joint, but instead create that micro bend and you might feel your arms fire up. As you squeeze the heels of the hands toward the feet, can you hug the thumbs energetically into each other so that the entire body, this can be a full body exercise, is working. Rest. Coming into side plank on the second side, and we will be closing out this practice. This is our last exercise. Let's lift it up and begin. Create that bear hug, barrel roll, and open up. So lots of space again in the shoulders by pressing down into that forearm. So you're not collapsing or shrugging in the low back, but we're creating space. Let your gaze be wherever it needs to be for balance here. You might slowly track the movement of your hand up and back down, or you might find a steady point to gaze upon, whatever works best for you. Maybe lift the corners of your mouth, find that smile, that joy in movement and connecting to the deepest layers of self, the deepest layers in the core, so that you can stay energized throughout your day. Release. Come up. We'll just enjoy one single stretch to kind of stretch the front side of the body. Press your hands behind you. Lift through the heart. Send the gaze up and back. And then plant your hands behind you, coming into upward tabletop. Squeeze the elbows. Lift the hips skyward. Maybe let the head drop back. Coming down. And that is our daily practice, one that you can use wherever you are, any time of day. It's a great one just to create that little bit of energy and connection and integration in the core. So thank you for moving with me and for being part of this collective of women who move by the moon.